Today, we're going to learn to eat and prep for the post-apocalypse 30 days at a time. Stick around. Okay, welcome back to Dave's Post-Apocalyptic World. Today, we're going to learn to prepare and eat for the post-apocalypse. Of course, we're actually currently in the middle of a pandemic, a post-apocalyptic situation. I did not expect this, but I have been preparing for it. But I didn't know where to start. Like, I knew you needed like rice and beans and oats, but how much of each do you need? People eat this all around the world currently and in survival situations. So I'm not sure where to start. So I started on the internet and I looked up all the nutritional values of beans, rice, and oats, and I kind of put together this little spreadsheet. Based on that, I was able to try to figure out what would be just the right quantities of each. So how do you know how much rice, beans, and oats you're going to need for the short term and the long term? So I looked online. I was hoping to find like a perfect amount, perfect formula for how much you would need. And based on the US daily recommended allowance for a 2,000 calorie a day diet and the respective fat, carbs, fiber, and protein intake recommendations, and the quantities that I came up with are this much rice, this much beans, this much oats, and no kitty yet. That's if we run out of food. And so based on this, now this is what I know I can eat daily and be perfectly fine. This is a very basic staple all around the world. Also, these foods can be stored long term, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. You can put them in buckets, in Mylar bags, and they can last up to 30 years. So originally, I wasn't planning on doing this video during an actual pandemic type situation, but we are on lockdown currently, and so I will begin to eat like this and show you how I do it, and I hope it's helpful. If you're not able to get these foods currently, soon probably, hopefully you will be, and then we'll have a better idea of what we actually need to eat and to plan accordingly. But there's another magical thing about these particular amounts, and I'll show you right now. Okay, so what could be so fun and exciting about these quantities that we just went over? Well, I'm glad you asked. If you multiply those amounts of rice, beans, and oats that we just did by 30.5 or 1 average month, the quantity you get is exactly 1 20-pound bag of rice, 1 8-pound bag of pinto beans, and 2 containers of rolled oats. Isn't that fun? So I'm kind of a visual person. Now I could see that's a month worth of food. And it's also, by the way, $20 for this amount of food at my local Walmart, or at least it used to be. I don't know what it's going to be in the near future, or $19.98. And that ends up being 67 cents a day. Isn't this fun? Aren't spreadsheets great? And based on these numbers, it would cost about $243 per year to feed yourself, which sounds pretty great. Of course, it's going to cost a little bit more because we've got this full box of other goodies we're going to use to supplement our basic needs with vitamins, spices, and fun things to eat. Okay, so we've covered our basic foods. While I'm here, I'd like to point out that over here we've got our lettuce seeds germinating. We're building a hydroponic garden up on the roof. Here is a link for that video once that's complete. Of course, it's not complete yet. And also, over here is our solar oven system. Plugged in here is an electric oven directly into a DC solar panel system where we can control each individual solar panel system to pump into this. It's freezing outside right now, and this is actually providing heat for the kitchen. The oven is currently at 360 degrees, and we are pumping 730 watts into it directly currently. So there's a video for that, if you'd like to see how that works and how it was made. Now I will put away the rice and the beans, and we'll get to the fun stuff. Okay, first and foremost, we're going to have sugar and salt. Make sure you have plenty of this. This is indispensable, very cheap. It lasts forever. not just for flavor, but also for nutrition. Next, we're going to go with the white vinegar. This is good for flavoring as well as cleaning, as well as for our hydroponic garden. We're going to need to lower the pH for that, and we'll show you that in that gardening video. Here is some vegetable oil. In the post-apocalypse, our goal is to keep our weight up, whereby before the apocalypse, we were kind of obsessed with keeping our weight down, but that shouldn't be a problem in the post-apocalypse. As we proceed, I'm going to take out some of these gems here. This is honey and maple syrup. You want to make sure they are 100% pure, and I heard that these are also forever foods. They've actually found honey in the Egyptian pyramids when they uncovered the tombs and found that it was still edible. Spices. These will be amazing. Again, we've got rice and beans and oats all day, every day. And imagine putting a little bit of flavor that's different from day to day. So I've got various spices here and also soup mixes. These would be used very sparingly when I make a big batch of something. I've got some dinosaur barbecue. This spice here I picked up at the dollar store when there was almost nothing else in the store. And I'm like, wow, a few months into the apocalypse, a Montreal steak seasoning sounds just about great right about now. Some Creole seasoning, peppercorns, whole. And then we'll get to, I went to the store last week. They were out of beans and rice and oats, but they had a few packages of split peas. Now I've never had or made split pea before, but these will be very special, and I will make a nice split pea soup video out of this. And of course for that, I will need maybe some canned ham. I heard that that's a great thing to go with split pea soup, and maybe I'll cook it on one of my solar ovens. That'll be fun. Now, they were out of butter when I went to the store last time, but they still had bacon, and this would be a wonderful supplement for fat and for flavor. Each strip is about 80 calories and has a lot of fat on it, so if we have 1,800 calories with the amounts that we've described before, this would quickly bring us up to 2,000 or more calories. So I've got a bunch of these in the freezer and in the fridge. Now, a bunch of these canned meats I've never actually had in my whole life, so this will be an adventure to try them. Here's some canned chicken. Here we've got some canned Spam, classic, never had it yet, but I hear you can just fry it or throw it in stuff. Sardines, haven't had in a while. I'll definitely make a video when I open these up. That'll be an adventure. Corned beef in a can, never had it. Some other generic lunch meat. These are things that I would be afraid of during normal times, but it sounds great when there's nothing else. And just a few cans of soup. Now, I wouldn't eat these soups straight up. I would probably add a lot of rice and make a whole big meal out of it. These are bouillon cubes. I've got a chicken and a beef. I should maybe have more, but so I will use these sparingly for special occasions. Corned beef hash. I should probably included these earlier, so I do have a stock of coffee, but that could run out. And even though this is instant and freeze-dried, I can't imagine not having access to coffee. So this would be, I should have put these right up there with this salt and the sugar, I think. So believe it or not, I bought these vitamins, multivitamins, as a prop. I was planning on making this video in regular times, and I figured I would need some vitamins. Little did I know that I would actually be using these for real. I found some other various seasoning mixes. Again, now that we are where we are, I would have bought a whole lot more of a lot of this, but this is it. This is all we prepped for. That's kind of the point of prepping, is to think about what may happen, not necessarily what could happen, because once the word gets out, it's too late. And a random box of spaghetti. They do sell prepping packages online. I don't know if you can buy them still, and I figured I'd buy a few cans of freeze-dried vegetables. Here we have corn. Here we have some freeze-dried peas, freeze-dried broccoli. I've never had any of these things. I wonder what it will be like. They do sell pre-made food buckets for you. They're kind of a bit more expensive than going for the regular rice and beans. But I bought one. So when you buy these, they say it should last 20 to 30 years. So you can just buy it once and be happy that either you have it when something happens, or be grateful that you didn't have to use it. Either way, I think it's a good insurance plan. Last but not least, some sweets. Now usually I can go through bags like these very quickly. In this case, these are the only two I have, and so I would probably maybe have one piece a day or something like that. Or maybe eat them all once we're out of the woods. I don't know how that's gonna work. So that's basically it for the food part of the 6 months survival that you've seen here. Oh, one more. So I used to love these in college, ramen noodles. Turns out for survivalists, they're great. 370 calories per little 15-cent package. Again, I should probably have bought more of these, but these would be a great snack and a great addition to whatever we're doing when we're living through this doomsday post-apocalypse. I'm gonna put all this food back for now and then show you a few more items I like to put in my survival box for 6 months. So I promised you some more survival items I like to have on hand. These kits, they sell either at the store or on Amazon, if that's still a thing. And it's basically medical supplies, very generic. I like to have extra Neosporin as well. It's kind of like surgery in a bottle, but these give you all the Band-Aids and various. So med kits are very important. They also make these really neat survival kits full of ways to make fire, knives, compasses, medical. These are always fun to have, but most of all, very essential during times like these. I also really like these all-in-one knives. Each one has tools and knives and pliers on them. Great to have anytime, but especially during these times. And finally, I've never had a gun before. I purchased this because I thought it would be a post-apocalyptic thing to have. But seeing the way things are now, it's one of those things where, you know, I was kind of torn. I've never had a gun before, but if it comes down to it, will I prefer having this if I need it? And the answer is going to be yes. So plenty of that and plenty of ammunition if needed. As promised, now we're going to pack away some of our rice in these Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. So you don't need food grade buckets for this because we're going to have clean bags that our food is going into so that we can preserve it for up to 30 years. So usually I would have packed all of the rice like this, but here it's more of a demonstration because apparently I'll be using it soon. Well, apparently 40 pounds is more than 5-gallon bucket can hold, so and throw in a couple of these oxygen absorbers. And I'm going to use this cheap sealer here I got online. This was like $7. I think you can use like an iron or a curling iron. And I'm going to mostly seal it through. when I'm almost at the end, I'm gonna kind of vacuum it. I've got a new kind of dedicated mini pump for this. So there's still some oxygen in here, but the oxygen absorbers will suck that in. And apparently we're still bulging out. This was my first try. And then I would label it 35 pounds of rice. Except that it looks like I'll be eating it sooner rather than later. Well, that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed my 6-month survival food and items video. If you like what you saw, please do that thing with the thing and subscribe if you'd like to see some more videos. If you have any suggestions or comments, please put those below. This way I can have more ideas of what to do next. Also, I can write back to you if you have any questions or comments. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you probably tomorrow on D's Post-Apocalyptic World.